The rise of the hydro weapons. In a galaxy filled with strange and powerful beings, a new weapon emerged that sent shockwaves through every star system. Known as the hydro weapons, these devices used advanced technology to harness the power of water. They could create massive explosions and devastating tidal waves. Fears swept across the galaxy as stories of their destructive capabilities spread like wildfire. The Galactic Council, a group made up of representatives from various alien races, convened to discuss the growing threat of the hydro weapons. Each representative came from a different planet, each with its unique customs and beliefs. As they gathered around the grand table, the tension was palpable. Many were worried about the implications of these weapons falling into the wrong hands. "We must act quickly," said Zarnek, a tall, blue-skinned being with elongated limbs. His eyes glowed with a fiery intensity. "If we do not control this technology, it could wipe out entire civilizations. We have to unite against this threat." "Yes, but how do we even begin to combat such power?" replied Alara, a graceful alien with shimmering silver skin. "The hydro weapons are feared for a reason. They seem unstoppable." The room buzzed with murmurs of agreement and concern. Many council members shared stories of battles fought against the hydro weapons, each tale more frightening than the last. Ships destroyed, planets flooded, and lives lost, all at the hands of these terrifying devices. Meanwhile, on a distant planet called Earth, a group of humans sat gathered around a table, listening to the news from the Galactic Council. They watched holographic reports of the hydro weapons and listened intently as experts explained their capabilities. While most of the galaxy quaked in fear, the humans were intrigued. "What are they so afraid of?" asked Emily, a young scientist with bright red hair and a curious mind. "It's just water, isn't it?" "Water is powerful," replied Mark, a seasoned pilot. "But the way they use it, it's dangerous. We've seen what happens when these weapons are unleashed." Emily shook her head. "I think there's more to it. We need to understand how they work. Maybe there's a way to turn this fear into something useful." As discussions continued, the humans decided to investigate further. They formed a small team to research the hydro weapons, gathering data from various sources, including alien pilots who had faced the weapons in battle. They hoped to uncover the secrets behind the fearsome technology. Days turned into weeks as the team delved deeper into their research. They learned that the hydro weapons used a special form of water, enhanced with energy fields that amplified its destructive potential. Despite their fearsome reputation, the humans began to see possibilities instead of dangers. "We could learn to use these weapons," suggested Mark during one of their late-night meetings. "If we understand them, we could potentially counteract their effects or even turn them into something harmless." Emily nodded excitedly. "Imagine if we could turn a weapon of fear into a tool of peace. We could change the way the galaxy views us. Instead of being afraid, we could lead the way in understanding and using this technology responsibly." Inspired by their discussions, the humans decided to conduct an experiment. They would gather small samples of the hydro weapons and test them in a controlled environment. This would help them understand how the weapons operated and if there was any way to mitigate their destructive power. As they prepared for their experiment, the team was filled with a mix of excitement and anxiety. They knew that this was a risky venture. If anything went wrong, the consequences could be catastrophic. However, their determination to uncover the truth about the hydro weapons outweighed their fears. On the day of the experiment, the team gathered in a secure laboratory filled with advanced technology. They set up a containment chamber, carefully placing a sample of the hydro weapon inside. Everyone watched nervously as Emily activated the controls. The machine hummed to life, and the lights flickered. Suddenly, the hydro weapon activated, sending shimmering streams of water into the air. The room filled with a dazzling display of colors as the energy within the water sparked and danced. Instead of the expected explosion, the weapon created a beautiful, harmless mist that filled the chamber. The humans stared in awe. They couldn't believe their eyes. "This is incredible," Emily exclaimed. It's not just a weapon, it's a source of energy. The atmosphere shifted from fear to excitement. They realized they had stumbled upon something extraordinary. The hydro weapons were not merely instruments of destruction. They could be understood and manipulated. With this knowledge, they could potentially change the galaxy's perspective on these weapons. As they continued their experiments, the humans began to develop a new strategy. They would gather allies from other races, sharing their discoveries and promoting a sense of unity. Together, they could confront the fear surrounding the hydro weapons and work towards a solution that benefited everyone. Little did they know, their efforts would soon lead to a confrontation with the very beings who feared them. The rise of the hydro weapons had created a rift in the galaxy, but the humans were ready to bridge that gap. They believed that understanding, cooperation, and courage would prevail over fear, and they were determined to prove it. With newfound confidence and purpose, the humans prepared for the challenges ahead. The galaxy was about to witness a remarkable turn of events, as the power of understanding would soon take center stage in the unfolding drama of the hydro weapons. A dangerous proposition. Word of the humans' astonishing discovery spread quickly throughout the galaxy. Representatives from the Galactic Council, still shaken by the tales of the hydro weapons, began to take notice of the human team's claims. Intrigued by the idea that these weapons could be transformed into something beneficial, they called for a meeting with the humans to discuss a potentially dangerous proposition. As the humans entered the council chamber, they could feel the weight of the council members' gazes upon them. The room was grand, adorned with holographic displays and alien artifacts. Each council member represented a different race, their appearances reflecting their unique cultures. The humans felt small and out of place, but remained resolute in their mission. The head of the council, a dignified creature named Vela, spoke first. Her golden skin shimmered in the dim light, and her voice echoed with authority. Humans, we have heard reports of your experiments with the hydro weapons. Your claims are remarkable, yet they are also troubling. You propose to control a force that has brought fear to our galaxy. Do you truly understand the implications of your actions? Emily stepped forward, her heart racing. We understand the risks, Counselor Vela, but we believe that knowledge is power. If we can harness the energy of the hydro weapons, we can use it to benefit everyone. We want to share our findings with you and help find a way to turn this fear into understanding. The council members exchanged glances, some skeptical and others curious. Zarnak, who had been vocal in previous discussions, leaned forward. And what do you propose? What is your plan to ensure that this power does not fall into the wrong hands? Mark took a deep breath and spoke confidently. We want to form an alliance. If we work together, we can create safeguards around the hydro weapons. We can teach others how to manage this technology responsibly. Our goal is to ensure that it is used for peace rather than destruction. A silence fell over the room as the council members considered the proposition. Finally, Alara spoke, her voice laced with concern. You must understand that many in the galaxy fear humans. There have been countless stories about your species and your violent history. Why should we trust you with such power? Emily met Alara's gaze, determination shining in her eyes. Because we are not here to repeat the past. We want to change our future and yours. We are willing to take every precaution to ensure that the hydro weapons are used for the greater good. After what felt like an eternity, Vela nodded slowly. Very well, we will allow you to demonstrate your findings. However, we will be watching closely. If you fail to prove that you can handle this power, the Council will take immediate action to neutralize the threat. The humans exchanged hopeful glances. They had taken the first step toward their goal. With the Council's permission, they began planning a public demonstration to showcase their findings about the hydro weapons. They wanted to prove that these weapons could be used responsibly and that the fear surrounding them was unfounded. In the days leading up to the demonstration, the humans worked tirelessly. They collaborated with various alien races, gathering data and refining their techniques. They explained their process and how they had turned the hydro weapons from objects of fear into tools of exploration and energy. As the day of the demonstration approached, the tension in the air grew thick. A crowd gathered outside the council chamber, filled with representatives from different races, eager to witness what the humans had to offer. Many were skeptical, but curiosity outweighed their doubts. The grand chamber was filled with anticipation as the council members took their seats and the humans prepared for their presentation. Emily and Mark stood in front of a massive holographic screen, their hearts pounding in their chests. "Thank you all for being here today," Emily began, her voice steady. "We stand before you to show that the Hydra weapons can be transformed into a source of energy and harmony, rather than a weapon of fear." As the demonstration commenced, the humans activated their device, and the Hydra weapon was carefully released into a controlled environment. They monitored the energy levels, adjusting the settings as they went. The room filled with vibrant colors as the water danced and shimmered, creating mesmerizing displays. "This is just a glimpse of what we can achieve," Mark said, his excitement evident. "Imagine the possibilities. Clean energy, improved technology, and a way to bridge gaps between our worlds." The crowd was captivated, their skepticism slowly fading. Whispers of awe spread through the audience as they witnessed the Hydra weapon transform from a tool of destruction into a source of beauty. The air was filled with hope and excitement. But then, just as the demonstration reached its peak, a sudden explosion erupted outside the chamber. The ground shook, and chaos ensued. The council members looked alarmed as the crowd erupted in panic. From the smoke emerged a group of armed aliens, their faces twisted with rage. "You fools," one of them shouted. "You think you can control the Hydra weapons? You have no idea of the power you're dealing with." The humans stood frozen, their plans unraveling before their eyes. The council members quickly sprang into action, trying to restore order. But the armed aliens were not there for discussion. They were there to take the Hydra weapons for themselves. As the situation escalated, the humans realized they had to act quickly. This was not just about showcasing their discoveries anymore. It was about proving that humans could stand firm against fear and protect their newfound allies. "Let's show them what we've learned," Emily shouted, rallying her team. Together, they prepared to confront the intruders. The fate of their demonstration, their alliance, and their future hung in the balance. With determination in their hearts, the humans took a deep breath, ready to face the challenge ahead. The rise of the Hydra weapons was about to take a dramatic turn, and they were determined to prove that understanding and courage could overcome fear. The battle for understanding. The air crackled with tension as the armed aliens stormed the chamber, their shouts echoing off the walls. The humans, still reeling from the surprise attack, quickly gathered their wits. Emily and Mark exchanged determined glances, knowing that their actions would determine the fate of their demonstration and potentially their future in the galaxy. "Stay together," Emily shouted, rallying her team. "We need to protect the Hydra weapon and the data we've gathered. We can't let them take it." The humans formed a tight circle around their equipment, shielding it from view. The council members scrambled to call for reinforcements, their alien features showing a mix of alarm and determination. They could not allow the chaos to overshadow the humans' groundbreaking discovery. The leader of the armed aliens, a fierce-looking creature named Rax, stepped forward, brandishing a weapon that glowed ominously. "You humans think you can play with forces beyond your control. You will regret this. Hand over the Hydra weapon, and maybe we will spare your lives." Mark, fueled by a mix of anger and resolve, stepped forward. "We're not afraid of you. We've shown that we can control the Hydra weapons. We're here to help, not to harm. But we won't let you take what we've worked so hard to protect." Rax sneered, a cruel smile spreading across his face. "Help? You think we need help from fragile beings like you? We will show you what true power looks like." As he raised his weapon, the council members sprang into action. Vela, standing tall despite the chaos, shouted, "Enough. This is not how we settle our differences." Her voice was steady and commanding, but the tension in the room was palpable. Before Rax could respond, a council guard rushed forward, aiming to restrain him. But the armed aliens were ready. A fight broke out, with chaos erupting in every direction. Council members and the humans fought valiantly, using whatever they could find as makeshift weapons. Emily and Mark quickly joined the fray, their training from past encounters with threats on Earth kicking in. They dodged attacks and fought back, but the odds were against them. The armed aliens were fierce and well-prepared, clearly having planned for this confrontation. As the battle raged on, Emily's heart raced. She had to find a way to turn the tide. "Mark, we need to focus on the hydro weapon," she shouted over the noise. "If we can activate its energy, we can show everyone that it can be a force for good." Mark nodded, his face set with determination. "Right, let's get it up and running." With the chaos surrounding them, they made their way to the hydro weapons control panel. They quickly activated it, and the room began to shimmer with a bright blue light. The energy pulsed, responding to their commands as they adjusted the settings. Suddenly, the glowing energy expanded, illuminating the room and drawing the attention of both sides in the fight. The armed aliens paused, momentarily stunned by the dazzling display. It was a moment of hope amidst the chaos. "This is what the hydro weapons can do," Mark shouted, his voice rising above the clamor. "It's not a tool of destruction. It can be a source of energy and hope for all races." Rax sneered but couldn't hide the flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. "You think a flashy light will save you? We have come too far to back down now." But just as he spoke, the energy from the hydro weapon began to spiral, creating a protective barrier around the humans and council members. The light shimmered, creating a dazzling spectacle that captivated everyone in the chamber. With newfound courage, Emily called out, "Look, the hydro weapon can create a shield. We can use it to protect ourselves and others." Realizing the potential of the weapon, some of the council members began to rally around the humans. "They are right," one of them shouted. "This power can protect us." The tide began to turn. The armed aliens, realizing they were outmatched by the humans' demonstration of control over the hydro weapon, hesitated. The council members took advantage of this moment of doubt, pushing forward to surround Rax and his men. "Your fear has blinded you," Vela shouted, her voice strong and unwavering. "These humans have proven that the hydro weapons can be a force for peace. Do you really wish to continue this fight?" As the energy from the hydro weapon surged, creating a shimmering wall of protection, the balance of power shifted. Rax and his followers looked around, uncertainty clouding their judgment. They had come to seize power, but found themselves confronted with a display of unity and strength that they had not anticipated. "Retreat," Rax barked, his voice filled with frustration. The armed aliens, still stunned, followed his command, scrambling to escape the chamber as the council members advanced. The humans and the council members watched as the intruders fled, the atmosphere shifting from chaos to relief. The power of the hydro weapon had been demonstrated, and with it, a new understanding began to form. As the last of the armed aliens disappeared from sight, Emily and Mark turned to their allies, their hearts racing with adrenaline. "We did it," Mark exclaimed, a grin spreading across his face. "We showed them what the hydro weapons can truly be." Vela stepped forward, her expression a mixture of pride and relief. "You have proven your worth, humans. Your courage and creativity have turned a moment of fear into one of hope." The chamber buzzed with renewed energy as the council members gathered around the humans, congratulating them on their bravery and innovation. They had not only defended themselves but had also changed perceptions of what humans could achieve. But deep inside, Emily knew that this was just the beginning. They had faced a challenge and emerged victorious, but the journey to ensure the hydro weapons were seen as a force for good was far from over. They needed to work harder, not just for themselves but for all races in the galaxy. The Galactic Council was beginning to see humans not just as beings from a distant planet, but as valuable allies in the struggle for peace and understanding. Together, they would continue to explore the depths of the hydro weapons, learning to harness their power responsibly and for the benefit of all. As the council members and the humans began to discuss their next steps, Emily felt a spark of hope ignite within her. The fear that had once surrounded the hydro weapons was slowly giving way to possibility. With determination, they would work to ensure that this power would be used for peace, not destruction. The unfolding truth. As the days passed, the atmosphere in the Galactic Council chamber shifted. The recent skirmish had left an indelible mark on both the humans and the council members. The demonstration of the hydro weapon had not only proven its potential as a tool for peace, but also sparked conversations about trust, cooperation, and the future of intergalactic relations. Emily, Mark, and their team found themselves at the center of this transformative moment, tasked with educating others about the true capabilities of the hydro weapons. Emily and Mark sat at a round table, surrounded by council members and experts from various alien races. They were discussing how to manage the hydro weapons responsibly and integrate them into galactic society. Vela, the council leader, presided over the meeting, her expression serious yet hopeful. "Today we begin a new chapter," Vela stated, her voice echoing through the chamber. "The humans have shown us that the hydro weapons are not merely instruments of fear and destruction. It is our duty to ensure they are used for the betterment of all races in the galaxy." As the discussions unfolded, Emily couldn't help but feel a swell of pride. She and Mark had worked tirelessly to demonstrate the hydro weapons' potential, but they also knew the challenges ahead would not be easy. Despite the breakthrough, skepticism still lingered among certain council members and factions. One council member, a stern-looking creature named Garlock, voiced his concerns. "We cannot ignore the threat these weapons pose. Just because humans were able to wield them in this instance does not guarantee they can do so again. What if they lose control? We risk annihilation." Mark leaned forward, determined to address Garlock's fears. "We understand your concerns, Garlock, but we have developed protocols to manage the hydro weapons safely. We want to share our knowledge and ensure that everyone can harness their potential responsibly." Garlock crossed his arms, clearly unconvinced. "Talk is cheap. We need guarantees. The moment you let your guard down, chaos could ensue." Emily interjected, her voice steady. "That's why we believe in collaboration. If we work together, we can develop safeguards and training programs to ensure that everyone understands how to manage the hydro weapons. Humans have faced challenges like this before, and we have always found a way." The room fell silent, the weight of the conversation pressing down on everyone. Vela nodded thoughtfully, appreciating Emily's perspective. "Perhaps we can initiate a series of workshops where humans and other species can learn from each other. This way, we can build trust and mutual understanding." The idea sparked a glimmer of hope among the council members. They began to discuss logistics, exploring ways to implement the proposed workshops. Emily and Mark exchanged glances, feeling the energy shift in the room. There was a genuine willingness to move forward together. As the meeting concluded, the humans were invited to stay on the planet for a few weeks to conduct the workshops. They gladly accepted, knowing that their presence would help foster cooperation and understanding. Little did they know, however, that not everyone was pleased with the Council's decision. While the Council embraced the idea of collaboration, a faction of aliens remained wary. They believed that allowing humans to influence the use of the hydro weapons could lead to disaster. This group, calling themselves the Protectors of the Galaxy, felt it was their duty to ensure that no one, human or otherwise, could ever wield such power unchecked. As Emily and Mark began to prepare for the workshops, whispers of dissent grew louder. The Protectors of the Galaxy started rallying support among the alien populace, spreading fear about the hydro weapons and warning of impending doom. Their rhetoric was persuasive, tapping into deep-seated fears that had existed long before humans arrived. Emily and Mark soon became aware of this growing opposition when they received messages warning them to be cautious. "We need to address this before it spirals out of control," Mark said, a furrow forming on his brow. Emily nodded, concern etched on her face. "We can't let misinformation fester. We need to engage with the public and share our knowledge about the hydro weapons. We must show them the truth." Vila, overhearing their conversation, offered her support. "I will arrange for a public forum. It will give you an opportunity to speak directly to the citizens. We need to counter the fear with facts." As preparations for the forum began, Emily and Mark felt the weight of responsibility on their shoulders. They knew they had to speak from the heart, to share their vision of a galaxy united in understanding and peace. On the day of the forum, the council chamber buzzed with anticipation. Aliens of all shapes and sizes filled the seats, their eyes curious yet skeptical. Emily and Mark stood at the front, feeling the tension in the air. Vela began the proceedings, introducing the humans and the concept of the hydro weapons. "Today we gather to hear from our human allies, who have demonstrated their commitment to using the hydro weapons responsibly. It is time to replace fear with knowledge." As Emily stepped forward, she took a deep breath. "Thank you for this opportunity. We understand that the hydro weapons have caused fear, but we believe they can be a force for good. We want to share our experiences and the safeguards we've developed to ensure they are used responsibly." Mark added, "We have faced challenges on our planet, and through collaboration, we've found solutions. Together, we can ensure that the hydro weapons are not a source of fear, but a means to protect and unite." The audience listened intently as they shared stories of humanity's journey with technology, emphasizing the importance of cooperation and understanding. They explained how they had learned to harness the power of the hydro weapons while prioritizing safety. But amidst the hopeful dialogue, a voice cut through the air. "You cannot trust these humans." It was standing in the crowd. "They are not of our kind. They cannot understand the complexities of our worlds. They will bring ruin upon us." The room erupted in murmurs of agreement, and Emily felt a pang of anxiety. But she refused to back down. "I understand your fears, but we're here to learn from each other." As the debate raged on, it became clear that the road ahead would be challenging. Despite their best efforts, fear and distrust ran deep. But Emily and Mark remained steadfast, believing that by confronting these fears, they could pave the way for a brighter future. As the forum came to a close, they knew they had planted the seeds of hope. Though the path to understanding was fraught with challenges, they were ready to face whatever lay ahead. With each encounter, each conversation, they would continue to fight for a world where collaboration and unity triumphed over. The days following the public forum were tense. Despite Emily and Mark's heartfelt presentation, the skepticism surrounding the hydro weapons and human involvement only intensified. The protectors of the galaxy were gaining traction, stirring up fear and doubt among the various alien factions. As the rumbles of dissent echoed through the halls of the Galactic Council, the atmosphere felt charged, as if a storm was brewing. Emily and Mark spent hours in discussions with council members, attempting to rally support for their cause. Vela remained a strong ally, but even she was starting to feel the pressure from the opposing faction. "We need to act fast before this spirals out of control," she warned, her expression grave. "The protectors are gaining followers daily." Mark nodded, concern etched on his face. "We can't let fear dictate our future. We need to prove that the hydro weapons can be beneficial and that humans can be trusted to manage them." One evening, while they were brainstorming strategies in their quarters, a message arrived from the council. Vela summoned them for an emergency meeting. The two exchanged worried glances, realizing that things had escalated further than they anticipated. As they entered the council chamber, the tension was palpable. Council members from various races were in heated discussions. Vela gestured for silence and addressed the room. "We have gathered here to discuss the growing concerns surrounding the hydro weapons and our human allies. We must decide on a course of action." As Emily and Mark began to prepare for the workshops, whispers of dissent grew louder. The protectors of the galaxy started rallying support among the alien populace, spreading fear about the hydro weapons and warning of impending doom. Their rhetoric was persuasive, tapping into deep-seated fears that had existed long before humans arrived. Emily and Mark soon became aware of this growing opposition when they received messages warning them to be cautious. "We need to address this before it spirals out of control," Mark said, a furrow forming on his brow. Emily nodded, concern etched on her face. "We can't let misinformation fester. We need to engage with the public and share our knowledge about the hydro weapons. We must show them the truth." Vila, overhearing their conversation, offered her support. "I will arrange for a public forum. It will give you an opportunity to speak directly to the citizens. We need to counter the fear with facts." As preparations for the forum began, Emily and Mark felt the weight of responsibility on their shoulders. They knew they had to speak from the heart, to share their vision of a galaxy united in understanding and peace. On the day of the forum, the council chamber buzzed with anticipation. Aliens of all shapes and sizes filled the seats, their eyes curious yet skeptical. Emily and Mark stood at the front, feeling the tension in the air. Vela began the proceedings, introducing the humans and the concept of the hydro weapons. "Today, we gather to hear from our human allies, who have demonstrated their commitment to using the hydro weapons responsibly. It is time to replace fear with knowledge." As Emily stepped forward, she took a deep breath. "Thank you for this opportunity. We understand that the hydro weapons have caused fear, but we believe they can be a force for good. We want to share our experiences and the safeguards we've developed to ensure they are used responsibly." Mark added, "We have faced challenges on our planet, and through collaboration, we've found solutions. Together, we can ensure that the hydro weapons are not a source of fear, but a means to protect and unite." The audience listened intently as they shared stories of humanity's journey with technology, emphasizing the importance of cooperation and understanding. They explained how they had learned to harness the power of the hydro weapons while prioritizing safety. But amidst the hopeful dialogue, a voice cut through the air. "You cannot trust these humans." It was Garlock, standing in the crowd. "They are not of our kind. They cannot understand the complexities of our worlds. They will bring ruin upon us." The room erupted in murmurs of agreement, and Emily felt a pang of anxiety. But she refused to back down. "I understand your fears, but we're here to learn from each other. We all want peace and security. Let's work together to achieve that." As the debate raged on, it became clear that the road ahead would be challenging. Despite their best efforts, fear and distrust ran deep. But Emily and Mark remained steadfast, believing that by confronting these fears, they could pave the way for a brighter future. As the forum came to a close, they knew they had planted the seeds of hope. Though the path to understanding was fraught with challenges, they were ready to face whatever lay ahead. With each encounter, each conversation, they would continue to fight for a world where collaboration and unity triumphed over fear. Confrontation and resolution. The days following the public forum were tense. Despite Emily and Mark's heartfelt presentation, the skepticism surrounding the hydro weapons and human involvement only intensified. The protectors of the galaxy were gaining traction, stirring up fear and doubt among the various alien factions. As the rumbles of dissent echoed through the halls of the Galactic Council, the atmosphere felt charged, as if a storm was brewing. Emily and Mark spent hours in discussions with council members, attempting to rally support for their cause. Vela remained a strong ally, but even she was starting to feel the pressure from the opposing faction. "We need to act fast before this spirals out of control," she warned, her expression grave. "The protectors are gaining followers daily." Mark nodded, concern etched on his face. "We can't let fear dictate our future. We need to prove that the hydro weapons can be beneficial and that humans can be trusted to manage them." One evening, while they were brainstorming strategies in their quarters, a message arrived from the council. Vela summoned them for an emergency meeting. The two exchanged worried glances, realizing that things had escalated further than they anticipated. As they entered the council chamber, the tension was palpable. Council members from various races were in heated discussions. Vila gestured for silence and addressed the room. We have gathered here to discuss the growing concerns surrounding the hydro weapons and our human allies. We must decide on a course of action. Unity in crisis. The weeks following the demonstration were filled with both tension and hope. Emily and Mark continued their work with the council, focusing on addressing the issues that led to the malfunction of the hydro weapons. They knew that they had to regain the trust of the Galactic Council and prove that humanity was a valuable ally, not a threat. Despite the chaos of the demonstration, there was a silver lining. The Council had agreed to allow the humans to collaborate on redesigning the hydro weapons. This was a critical step toward acceptance, but it came with immense pressure. Garlock and the protectors of the galaxy continued to voice their concerns, rallying support against the humans. In the council chambers, Emily and Mark faced the council members during a crucial meeting. The atmosphere was tense, with some members still skeptical. Garlock stood at the forefront, his expression a mix of anger and determination. "Why should we trust the humans again?" he demanded, his voice booming. "They've already proven they cannot handle the power of the hydro weapons. The safety of our people is at stake." Emily took a deep breath, steeling herself for the challenge. "We understand your fears, Garlock, and we are committed to addressing them. That's why we're here today, to present our findings and our proposed solutions." Mark stepped forward, holding a holographic device. With a flick of his wrist, a 3D model of the redesigned hydro weapon appeared, showcasing the improvements they had made based on their investigation. "We've identified the issue that caused the malfunction and developed a series of enhancements that will improve safety and functionality." As the hologram rotated, the council members leaned in, their interest piqued. "We have added multiple safety features," Mark explained, "including fail-safes that will prevent any accidental discharges. Additionally, we've incorporated advanced control systems that will allow for more precise operations." Emily added, "We believe these improvements will not only enhance the hydro weapons, but also ensure that they are used responsibly. We want to work together with you to create a future where these weapons can be a source of peace, not fear." Garlock crossed his arms, still skeptical. "And what makes you think you can execute this without any further issues? Trust is not easily earned, especially after what happened." Before Emily could respond, Ilara, the shimmering scaled council member, interjected. "Perhaps we should consider giving them another chance. The improvements they've presented are promising. We should not let fear dictate our choices." The room erupted into debate, with some council members supporting Emily and Mark, while others sided with Garlock. The discussions became heated, and it seemed like the meeting would end in chaos. But then Vela stood up, her voice cutting through the noise. "We cannot afford to be divided at this time. We face greater challenges ahead, and unity is our strength. If we do not stand together, we risk losing everything." Her words resonated deeply. One by one, council members began to express their support for Emily and Mark's proposal, emphasizing the need for collaboration. After much deliberation, the council agreed to allow the humans to proceed with their redesign, but with strict oversight. With the council's decision made, Emily and Mark felt a renewed sense of hope. They threw themselves into the redesign process, collaborating closely with scientists and engineers from various races. Their days were filled with brainstorming sessions, testing prototypes, and addressing every possible concern. As they worked, the bond between Emily, Mark, and their alien allies deepened. They shared ideas, stories, and experiences, learning from one another. Emily found herself especially drawn to Ilara, who shared her knowledge about her race's unique technology and practices. One day, while discussing the intricacies of their designs, Ilara leaned closer to Emily. "I admire your determination. Many in the council still doubt you, but you continue to fight for what you believe in. It's inspiring." Emily smiled, grateful for the support. Thank you, Ilara. I believe that together we can achieve something extraordinary. It's about more than just technology. It's about building trust and understanding. As the weeks turned into months, progress was made. The redesigned hydro weapons were finally ready for another demonstration. This time, the Council was more cautious, but there was a glimmer of hope that perhaps they could succeed. On the day of the demonstration, the atmosphere was electric. The Council members gathered, their expressions a mix of skepticism and curiosity. Garlock was present, his arms crossed defiantly, but even he couldn't hide the flicker of interest in his eyes. Emily and Mark stood at the forefront once again, ready to showcase their hard work. The redesigned hydro weapon stood proudly before them, its sleek lines and advanced controls gleaming in the light. Today, we are not just demonstrating a weapon, we are demonstrating our commitment to partnership. Emily began, her voice steady. We have worked tirelessly to ensure that the hydro weapons can be used responsibly and effectively. We invite you to witness the result of our collaboration. As the demonstration commenced, Emily and Mark showcased the safety features, explaining how they work to prevent any accidental discharges. They also highlighted the humanitarian applications of the hydro weapons, emphasizing their potential to address crises across the galaxy. With each successful test, the mood in the Council chamber shifted. The Council members began to see the potential benefits of the hydro weapons, and some of Garlock's supporters started to soften. Even Garlock himself appeared less hostile, though he maintained his critical demeanor. Then, as they prepared to demonstrate the hydro weapon's ability to purify water supplies, a sudden tremor shook the arena. The crowd gasped, and chaos erupted as members scrambled for safety. Emily and Mark exchanged worried glances, their hearts racing. Garlock's eyes narrowed as he observed the commotion. This is exactly what I feared. You are putting us all at risk again. But Emily refused to back down. We can't let fear take over. We need to work together to ensure everyone's safety. Mark quickly turned to the crowd, raising his voice. Stay calm. We're trained for this. Please remain where you are, and we will resolve this. With Emily at his side, Mark focused on the hydro weapons controls. Together, they assessed the situation, realizing that the tremor had triggered a minor malfunction. They worked swiftly to stabilize the weapon, guiding the controls with precision. As the tremor subsided, the crowd's panic began to fade, replaced by a sense of awe as Emily and Mark demonstrated their quick thinking and teamwork. The hydro weapon stabilized, and the demonstration continued without further incident. Once the event concluded, the Council members erupted into applause, their expressions filled with relief and admiration. Garlock, however, stood silent, clearly conflicted. Emily took a deep breath, knowing they had made significant progress, but realizing the path ahead was still fraught with challenges. We did it, Mark, she exclaimed, her voice filled with excitement. This is a step toward unity. Mark nodded, but his expression remained serious. Yes, but we still have much work to do. Garlock and the Protectors will not give up easily. We need to keep proving ourselves. As they left the arena, the buzz of excitement lingered in the air. They had faced adversity, but they had also shown their strength and determination. Together, they would continue to forge a new path, one built on trust, collaboration, and hope for a brighter future in the galaxy. The final confrontation. In the weeks following the successful demonstration, the atmosphere in the Galactic Council was changing. More and more council members began to see the humans not as a threat, but as potential allies. Emily and Mark continued to work diligently on the hydro weapons project, collaborating with their alien counterparts to finalize the designs and protocols for safe use. However, Garlock and the Protectors of the Galaxy remained a formidable obstacle. Garlock, in particular, was determined to prove that humans could not be trusted, and he was rallying those who shared his fears. Whispers of dissent echoed through the council chambers, threatening to undo the progress made so far. One day, Emily and Mark found themselves called to an emergency meeting. The council chamber was unusually crowded, with many members who had previously supported the humans now looking uncertain. Garlock stood at the front, his presence commanding attention. "Today, we face a critical decision," he began, his voice steady but filled with a tension that resonated in the air. "The humans claim they have redesigned the hydro weapons, but they have not proven their intentions. We must not allow them to manipulate our trust any longer." Emily felt a knot tighten in her stomach. She could see that fear was creeping back into the minds of the council members. "Garlock," she interjected, "we have worked hard to ensure the safety of these weapons. We believe they can be used to protect, not harm." Garlock's expression darkened. "But at what cost? How many more demonstrations must we endure before you prove your worth? You humans have already caused chaos. I urge the council to reconsider our alliance." A murmur of agreement rippled through some of the attendees, and Emily knew they had to act quickly. "Please, listen to what we have accomplished. We have included every safeguard imaginable. This isn't just about weapons. It's about cooperation and shared responsibility." Mark stepped forward, backing Emily. "We invite any council member to oversee our processes to ensure complete transparency. Let us prove ourselves to you all, not through words, but through action." As Emily and Mark pleaded their case, Garlock's allies began to whisper among themselves, clearly swayed by the human's passion. But Garlock was not done yet. "And if something goes wrong, if there is even a hint of danger, what then? We cannot risk the safety of our people on mere promises." The tension in the room was palpable. Ilara stood up, her scales shimmering with determination. "We cannot live in fear, Garlock. The humans have shown us their commitment. We should support their efforts, not stifle them. If we do not learn to trust one another, we will remain divided and vulnerable." For a moment, it seemed that Ilara's words might sway the council, but Garlock remained resolute. "What I propose is a test. A true test of the hydro weapons under real conditions. We will not only assess the technology, but we will also see if the humans can be trusted in a situation where lives are at stake." Mark's heart raced. "What kind of test do you have in mind?" Garlock's gaze sharpened, and a cruel smile spread across his face. "A battle scenario. We will create a simulated conflict where the hydro weapons will be put to use. You will lead your own team against the protectors. This will show if you can handle the responsibility that comes with such power." Emily gasped. "That's dangerous. You're asking us to fight against you, and that's not the point of this at all. We should be working together. Then prove your worth. Show us that you can be effective in battle while wielding the hydro weapons," Garlock insisted, his voice echoing through the chamber. "Accept the challenge, or walk away from this council." After a moment of silence, the council erupted into heated debates. Some supported Garlock, while others stood with Emily and Mark. The tension escalated as voices rose, and the atmosphere turned chaotic. Finally, Ilara called for order. "If this is the path we must take to build trust, then let us do it. But I suggest we proceed with caution. The lives of all are at stake, and we must ensure that this test does not lead to more conflict." After much deliberation, the council agreed to Garlock's proposal. Emily and Mark exchanged worried glances, but knew they had to rise to the challenge. They would have to demonstrate their capabilities in this unconventional battle, and failure was not an option. Preparations for the battle commenced quickly. A training facility was set up, simulating various scenarios in which the hydro weapons would be used. Emily and Mark worked tirelessly with their team of human volunteers, educating them on the weapons and strategies they would need. As the day of the test approached, Emily felt the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. They were not just fighting for themselves, but for the future of humanity among the stars. Mark noticed her anxiety and offered words of encouragement. "We've come this far. We just need to show them our resolve and skill. Together, we can prove ourselves." On the day of the simulated battle, council members gathered to observe. The air was charged with anticipation, and the arena buzzed with energy. Garlock stood among the onlookers, his expression unreadable. The battle began. The humans took their positions, hydro weapons ready. Mark and Emily led their team, coordinating tactics and strategies. As the simulations unfolded, they faced various challenges, including simulated enemy attacks and critical resource management. With every challenge they met, the team worked together flawlessly, demonstrating their ability to navigate the complexities of the hydro weapons. The pressure was intense, but Emily felt a sense of unity among her team. They were fighting not just for their lives, but for acceptance and understanding. As the battle raged on, a pivotal moment arrived. A sudden failure in one of the systems caused an emergency. Mark acted quickly, directing his team to stabilize the situation, while Emily took charge of the hydro weapons. The crowd watched with bated breath as she focused on regaining control. With precision and determination, she adjusted the controls and activated the safety features. The hydro weapon discharged a harmless burst, neutralizing the simulated threat without causing any real harm. Cheers erupted from the audience, and even Garlock looked impressed. As the battle concluded, the council members gathered to discuss the outcome. Emily and Mark stood before them, hearts pounding. Garlock addressed the council, his voice steady. "I must admit, you have shown exceptional skill and control. Perhaps I misjudged your capabilities." With that, the council voted on the future of the hydro weapons program. The overwhelming majority supported continued collaboration with humanity, recognizing the potential for a brighter future together. Garlock, though still cautious, nodded in acceptance, signaling a shift in his stance. Emily felt a rush of relief and joy. They had proven themselves against the odds. "Thank you for believing in us," she said, her voice filled with gratitude. "Together, we will ensure that these weapons are used for good." As the council chamber filled with applause, a new era of cooperation dawned. Emily and Mark looked at each other, knowing their journey had only just begun. They had faced fears, challenges, and doubt, but they had emerged stronger, united by a shared vision of peace and understanding in the galaxy. The future was uncertain, but with determination and unity, they were ready to face whatever lay ahead, together.